At exactly 11 o'clock in the morning, in a small American town's most luxurious five-star hotel, the Grand Palace Hotel, an old man dressed in simple clothes slowly walked toward the grand entrance. His name was Henry Miller. He carried a worn leather bag in one hand and walked with a quiet dignity that caught no one's attention. As he reached the door, the hotel guard stepped forward and blocked his way. "Hey, old man," he said with a half-smile. "What brings you here? This isn't the kind of place for—" "Well, you know." Henry smiled gently. "Son," he said, "I have a booking here. I just wanted to ask about it." The guard chuckled, turning to his coworker. "Did you hear that? This old guy says he's got a booking here." He looked back at Henry and said, "Sir, maybe you got the wrong place. This is the Grand Palace Hotel, the most expensive place in town. People who come here, they're the ones with money." Inside, at the reception desk, Emily Carter, the front desk manager, overheard the exchange. She looked at Henry from head to toe, a faint smirk forming on her lips, not one of kindness but of mockery. "Sir," she said, "I don't think you have a booking here. This hotel is, well, quite expensive. Maybe you meant another place." Henry smiled again, calm as ever. "Daughter," he said kindly, "at least check once. Maybe my booking is there." Emily shrugged, unimpressed. "Fine," she said, "but it might take a while. You can sit in the waiting area." Henry nodded and walked slowly toward the waiting area. People in the lobby watched him, whispering, chuckling. "Looks like he came in just to get free food," someone murmured. Another laughed quietly. "He probably can't even afford a cup of coffee here." Henry heard every word, but he stayed silent. He set his bag down beside his chair and folded his hands on the handle of his cane, waiting patiently. A little boy tugged at his mother's hand and asked, "Mom, who's that old man? He doesn't look like he belongs here." The mother sighed softly. "Sometimes, son, life doesn't treat people equally. That's just how fate works." Meanwhile, Emily walked by again, whispering to a coworker, "I hope the manager doesn't find out. Letting someone like him sit here could ruin the hotel's image." Her coworker chuckled. "Don't worry. He'll get bored and leave soon." But Henry didn't move. He just sat, silent, patient, as the clock ticked on. After an hour, he stood up, walked to the front desk, and said softly, "Daughter, if you're too busy, maybe I could speak with your manager. It's important." Emily hesitated, then reluctantly picked up the phone. "Mr. Collins," she said, "there's an old man here asking to see you." Richard Collins, the hotel manager, looked up from his desk and laughed. "What? That old man? Is he even a guest? I don't have time for this. Let him sit. He'll leave." Emily relayed the message back to Henry. He nodded quietly and returned to his seat. Still, his eyes held patience, a calmness that came from years of wisdom. Then, a young bellboy named Tom Parker noticed him. Tom had seen how everyone mocked the old man, but something in Henry's quiet dignity touched him. "Sir," Tom said gently, "how long have you been waiting? Didn't anyone help you?" Henry smiled warmly. "I wanted to meet the manager, son, but he must be busy." Tom frowned. "Don't worry, sir. I'll talk to him myself." He rushed to Richard's office and knocked. "Sir," he said respectfully, "there's an elderly man waiting in the lobby. He wants to see you. Says it's important." Richard leaned back, rolling his eyes. "Tom, how many times have I told you not to waste time on random people? He's not a guest, probably just lost. Now go do your job." "But sir," Tom insisted, "he really seems like he has something important." Richard laughed mockingly. "Important? Do you even know how much money runs through this hotel? You think someone dressed like that has anything important to say?" Tom lowered his head and walked out, disappointed but respectful. He went back to Henry. "Sir, I tried," he said quietly. "The manager won't meet you." Henry put a comforting hand on his shoulder. "It's all right, son. You did what you could. Thank you. An hour passed. The clock now read 12:30. Henry slowly stood up, picked up his cane, and walked toward the manager's office. Emily called out, "Sir, I told you, the manager is busy." Henry's voice was calm but firm. "I've waited long enough. I'll talk to him myself." The lobby fell silent as everyone watched. Henry pushed open the office door. Richard looked up arrogantly. "Yes, old man. What's your problem?" Henry quietly opened his bag and took out an envelope. "These are documents related to my booking," he said. "Please take a look." Richard smirked and tossed the envelope onto the desk without opening it. "Listen," he said coldly. "People like you can't afford this place. Don't waste my time." Henry's eyes didn't waver. "Son," he said softly, "the truth isn't always what it looks like. Look once. You might be surprised." Richard leaned back, laughing. "I don't need to look at anything. I've been running this hotel for years. I can tell who belongs here just by looking at them. You don't." The guests outside laughed. Henry sighed deeply and said, "All right. But remember, the truth always finds its way." He turned and walked out, his slow steps echoing through the silent lobby. Later, Tom quietly picked up the envelope from the desk. Curious, he opened it and froze. The file showed Henry Miller, 85% shareholder and founding partner of the Grand Palace Hotel. Tom's hands shook. He printed the document and ran to Richard's office. "Sir," he said breathlessly, "you need to see this. He's the owner, the founder of this hotel." Richard waved him off. "Tom, enough of this nonsense. I don't care who he says he is." Tom pleaded. "Sir, it's all here in writing." Richard slammed the desk. "I said drop it. This hotel runs because of me, not because of some old man with a story." Tom left, heartbroken but determined. The next morning, the entire hotel was buzzing. Rumors had spread. The old man from yesterday might actually own the place. At 10:30 a.m., the lobby doors opened. Henry Miller entered again, this time with an official-looking man carrying a briefcase. Everyone stood still. The guard, the receptionist, the staff, all silent. Henry's calm voice carried across the lobby. "Call the manager." Richard came out, still pretending to be confident. "Well, you're back," he said, forcing a smile. Henry looked straight at him. "Richard Collins," he said firmly. "Yesterday I told you the truth would come out. Today is that day." The officer opened the briefcase and pulled out official documents. "These papers prove that Mr. Henry Miller holds 65% ownership of the Grand Palace Hotel," he announced loudly. A stunned silence filled the room. Emily's hands trembled. Guests whispered, "He's the owner." "Oh my God," we all judged him. Henry's voice grew firm. "Richard Collins, as of today, you are no longer the manager of this hotel. From now on, Tom Parker will take your place." Richard's face turned red. "You can't do that. I've been running this place for years." Henry's tone was calm but commanding. "I built this hotel from the ground up. You only managed it. But you forgot the foundation, humanity. From now on, you'll work in the field. Maybe then you'll remember how to treat people." He turned to Tom. "You didn't have money, son, but you had kindness. That's what makes you worthy." Tom's eyes filled with tears. "Sure. I just did what was right." Henry smiled softly. "That's all that ever matters." Then he looked at Emily. "This was your first mistake," he said gently. "So I'll forgive you. But remember, never judge someone by their clothes again." Emily broke down, crying. "I'm sorry, sir. It won't happen again." Henry turned to the rest of the staff. "This hotel will not just serve the wealthy," he said. "From now on, its true luxury will be in kindness and respect. Humanity will be its identity." The entire lobby burst into applause. Those who mocked him yesterday now looked at him with admiration. Henry smiled, picked up his cane, and walked out slowly. As he left, his words lingered in the air. "Real wealth isn't in money. It's in the heart. If your heart is rich, you'll never be poor.